Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville Citizen Night and Council Work Session. Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2013, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hang on a second, folks. I'm going to grab our list and see who all signed in.
Thank you.
Fran Fulkerson, please. You signed in, so we'll go off our list of the folks that signed in, and then we'll open up the floor to anybody else that would like to address council.
Shall I start?
Please state your sign in. Oh, you already did sign in. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Fran Fulkerson. I live at 1312 Woodland Drive in Monroeville. Since HIPAA seems to be in the news, I guess I was going to talk a little about HIPAA. You know, I was working as a health professional when HIPAA came into effect. Patients prior to that always had their privacy, and their medical information was always kept confidential. But they would openly talk about their own problems among themselves when somebody asked them about it. But when HIPAA was imposed, the restrictions became more severe, along with the possible side effects if you violated any of its rules. We were told if we saw or knew a neighbor or a friend who was admitted to our facility, we were not allowed to tell anybody on the outside that they were there. And it's at its strictest sense, we couldn't even go into the room and visit them unless we knew that we had their permission. HIPAA really was there to protect those people who didn't want anybody to know anything about their medical information except those who they felt needed to know. Only approved people on the patient's list could receive information from the MD or staff. If you had a relative, you could be a relative, but if you were not on that list, no information would be given to you. You just hope people on that list, who were on the list that liked you, enough to share that information with you, especially if you lived out of town. Medical facilities could no longer tell just anyone where the patient went once they were discharged. Sometimes people did violate these restrictions or laws, but it could have serious consequences. An elderly lady that I know without a husband or children was discharged to a nursing home without any of her friends knowing she went there. A worker at that facility called me because they knew we belonged to the same church and wanted to know if there was a church group that would visit the sick because she was extremely lonely and feeling depressed. And people did come to see her and visit her, and that patient was extremely happy that the worker violated the HIPAA law. On my own part, my mother was admitted to the hospital with a serious medical problem. At that particular hospital, they gave the family members a PIN number that they could use if they wanted to receive information from the nurse by phone. I was anxious the next day to find out how my mother was doing, but I lost the PIN number. I called anyway, and the nurse was kind enough to give me the information. I can't tell you how grateful I was to her, but the nurse could have faced serious problems if her supervisor knew that she did this. HIPAA can be used as an excuse to fire people, and it can be done legally, even though the motives are not always done aren't always pure when they're done. I know a nurse in Ohio that was fired when she talked about a patient who had to go to a certain test in the hearing of other people, and the administrators fired her for the violation of HIPAA. She was an excellent nurse, and the nurse is probably the best nurse they had there. But the people at that hospital, the administration is particularly, were going through the department trying to fire people and get rid of people, and they really didn't care how beneficial the people were that they were getting rid of. You know, and right now I really feel like this HIPAA was used as an excuse to file Doug Cole. I really have a hard time believing that he actually knew there was a violation of HIPAA, because HIPAA is so strict on everything, and if he did know, I can hardly believe that he didn't. He refused to correct it, but HIPAA was used as an excuse. We all know the thing that really concerns me now is this information about this complaint that came through. Why couldn't it have been handled in-house? If something was wrong, if Mr. Pasquarelli or Chief Pasquarelli found out that something that was a violation of the HIPAA law, why couldn't he just handle it in-house and get it done with? Why did it have to be sent to the federal officials? You know, because as soon as he did that, we know what happens when a complaint is filed. It has to be acted on. Pat learned that very personally when Mr. Workman filed a complaint against him after she changed his report. You know, he was asked by Mrs. Allison why he changed it. He says that maybe there was a conflict of interest because she changed it more favorable to Keystone, who does earn incomes. But he had to provide documentation to say why he made that comment, or he would be either have to apologize to Mrs. Workman or be suspended. So he did take the suspension for 4 days without pay. So I do know what happens when you file a complaint. I know that laws can be used by certain people to benefit themselves. So my biggest thing is why this complaint was filed. Did he act alone? Did he act on the urging of the other four majority councils and Mrs. McKinley to do this in the detriment of Monroeville? Because now we're faced with more legal fees. I mean, we're talking about having no money, and now we'll have this big fee. And it could have been done in-house. All this could have been done in-house. I mean, really, the information that goes over the air that people can probably have in the privacy of their home with a police scanner. Truly, the mail people that bring my mail probably know more information about me, where I shop, when I'm on vacation, what affiliations I belong to, than it's ever brought out in HIPAA, and I trust them with this information. Why wouldn't I trust the EMTs and the people that are charged? And I just feel like now Monroeville, because of this complaint, is now facing more cost, and it could have been avoided. And it seems like the blame's going on certain people, but I feel like the complaint should have never been sent. I had some other stuff, but I got nervous. Okay. You know, I don't wish any of you up there any harm or anything bad to happen to any of you, especially those I feel like are harassing my husband. But I know all of you will have to answer for your actions someday, like we all will. And you won't be able to pay somebody to keep silent about the things you have done and you want kept secret, or that you did for a friend or a family member and harmed a lot of other people in the process, or state that you had a lot of pressure put on you to do it when you know it wasn't the correct thing to do. And lastly, that the person harmed deserved it because they were not nice to you or your friends. With all your verbalization that you only want what is best for Monroeville, you seem to have only your self-interest in mind and those of your friends. I don't think we can continue to keep you people in office when you keep costing us more and more money to be paid out for severance packages, for office managers that you let go, legal fees for people that are suing, You even want us to propose paying college education fees. And now we have to pay for legal fees and possibly a huge fine from the HIPAA because a complaint was sent in that could have been handled in-house. Most of you had children. How would you feel if they lost their job because your supervisor wanted their friend to have it, even though they really didn't have the qualifications for it? Or if their job was taken away and given to someone with no experience in this matter, or if they had to quit their job because they were faced to do something they thought was against their conscience? How would you feel if they were successful with a good reputation, a beautiful house, and money in the bank, but they married somebody who put their own needs first and squandered all their money, tarnished their reputation, leaving them desolate? I don't think you would think very highly of these people, but I feel like that's what you are doing to Monroeville. Please stop. Please think of the residents of Monroeville and not find ways to justify your action, cost the citizens more money. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address council? It is certainly your time. Sir, if you would sign in, state your name and your address for the record.
Paul Caleri at 2511 and a half Haymaker Road. I guess as a concerned citizen, hi, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just wanted to throw out a word of caution. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, that's what's going around right now, and I don't know a lot except what I read in the newspaper. But what I'm gleaning from what I'm hearing and reading in the newspaper is this is an accusation was made. Nobody filed a civil suit or anything. So why are we going to hire a law firm and a private investigation firm? What are we investigating? I think I read in the newspaper that the FBI was already investigating this, looking into this. Let them look into it. What are we defending at this point? It's an accusation. We're kind of in a budget crunch right now. It seems like a waste of money. Just try not to put the cart before the horse again. We tend to do that a lot here. I said it in the last council meeting. Slow down a minute, take a deep breath and breathe. Let's see what's going on for a second. I believe even our solicitor said there was no, and if I'm misquoting you, Mr. Dice, please tell me, that there was no HIPAA violation. Now, there is a clause in the Health Insurance and Portability Act it's incidental. It actually does cover police scanners. I think it's referred to as Scannerland. And if nobody's read the HIPAA guidelines, I can share them with you. It's about 97 pages. It's kind of boring, but it actually does cover very specific things. And I just want to make sure that we're using sound judgment here again before we start spending a lot of money. I think I read in the article, and Ms. McKinney, you can correct me, the possibility of hiring a law firm and a private investigator. That's a lot of money. For what? It's just an accusation.
Oh, I assure you, I'll address that.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, can we answer any of his questions? I don't know.
You can answer anything you want. You're seeking counsel.
But was there a violation? That was a question?
Well, you got to remember, this situation has evolved. When I sat with members of the staff in October, November, there was an isolated instance that discussed the question of one particular call. Following in late January, additional information was provided vis-a-vis what you all saw in executive session and I saw for the first time.
Minimally. I seen a little bit of
Okay.
executive session.
And You know, I don't have the answer for that. I don't know that we want to get into, you're asking, is there a HIPAA
Well,
violation?
first of all, I was told that we were not supposed to speak on this matter.
That's a fact.
Now I read it in the paper, so obviously it's out there, we're allowed to speak on it.
You're absolutely correct.
I didn't talk to my wife about this issue. Now all of a sudden it's out there. I mean, yeah, let's give the explanations when the citizens come up and ask. Ask your questions. We should be obligated to answer them.
Was there a HIPAA violation? Did somebody accuse Monroeville Dispatch, the police, fire, or ambulance of violating their civil rights?
Well, here's the good news, Paul, what I will tell you, that for the folks I've talked to, they feel there was none at all, even with all you saw in the paper. Apparently, that HIPAA, gives a lot of pass to dispatch centers, fire departments, EMS personnel. There's a lot of room in that room. But I guess, with the lawsuit going on, that will certainly address that.
It absolutely, it does give a lot of room.
And that's sad that we had to go that route, but it is what it is. But that will be addressed. And I agree with Bruce. I'm not sure anybody here is an expert in that area. But my understanding is clearly, even with what you read in the paper and what we were shared in executive session, by a very good attorney who deals with this kind of stuff, is going to obviously come forth with there was no violation and willing to stand on that in court. So I guess we'll know about that soon.
Well, is that very good attorney? I think Mr. Dice is a very good
Oh, he's
attorney.
very-
He said this a
he
long
is.
time ago.
I am.
Oh, no, I understand that, but
He just
more-
chose not to listen
I'm
to
not
you,
beating
sir.
up on Bruce. I'm
Right.
telling you, I talked to some.
I want everybody
I just wanted
know
to,
that I am.
I know he didn't mean that.
If anybody's watching, I write wills.
But I agree with you that, I don't know why we hired a law firm and then I was never shared any of that information. I will veto all that because that is vetoable. I am not going to let that money get spent. If they have 5 votes to override me, let them do it.
Okay.
End of story.
Let me say that while he has the right to veto expenditures of money, he doesn't have the right to veto appointments.
Oh, he can appoint anybody they want.
Okay. I mean,
I'm talking about the money.
I'm just being the
But I'm
lawyer.
willing to listen to see what this is really all about. But I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm with you, Paul. I think the cart went way before the horse did. And I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Paul.
Would anybody else like to address council? This is certainly your time to address council. Please.
Yes, Georgiana Woodhull. Actually, I read both articles, the article that was in the Post-Gazette and the one that was in the Times Express. And it did appear to me that Mr. Dice was kind of taking this rather lightly. And I know that you stated that there was one violation, but one violation is one too many. Because I
No,
guess...
I didn't say there was a violation.
If there is a isolated incident, whatever
And-
whatever it
And I
was.
don't want to interrupt you, it's your time, but what I saw didn't amount to a HIPAA violation to me.
Okay. And I appreciate you taking that step and getting special counsel. Once you have your investigator and your special counsel, how long will it be before something is publicized brought to the public? A week, 2 weeks? How long do you think it would take?
We're not actually sure at this point. We're not actually sure at this point.
Okay. And I just want to make one other statement, Mayor. About 5 minutes ago, you sat there and you should have been in control of this meeting. You allowed this Mrs. Fulkerson to insult Sue Worksman, and I think you should have stopped it and commented,
Just so you know.
just out of
Georgiana,
respect for Susan.
Well, hang on a second. I asked our solicitor, our manager asked me, should we stop that? And I asked him, and I felt the same way he did. She is a resident. You have a right to say,
just about anything you want to say out there. I'm not going to stop a resident from having their peace, even if you don't like what you hear.
Well, I
They've
understand
done it
that.
to me, I'm okay with that. You've done it, you've attacked me, I'm okay with that. That's part of our job.
Well, in one case, you're rewarding Mrs. Worksman, and it's as far as, her job done, and then you allow an insult
But again,
to that
I cannot
to that
stop and
magnitude.
will not stop a resident
That's
from
fine,
having a
thank
different
you.
opinion. Would anybody else like to address council? This is certainly your time.
I would like
You
to.
got Len coming up?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please sign in, state your name and address for the record.
I just have a couple comments tonight, which probably a lot of people up here is going to be glad of.
If you could state your name.
It's not going to be the same.
Lou, you got to state your name and address for the record.
Lou Smith, 148 West Patty Lane.
Thank you.
As I was saying, I'll be brief tonight. In the next meeting I come to, which is actually going to be my third time, there'll be some people up here that won't be so happy that I'm going to be up here. But anyway, I would like to comment on a couple things. This HIPAA violation. First time I ever even heard of this was recently, when this was brought to light, and I inquired about it and what it's all about and everything. And I do believe that certain personal information shouldn't be going out. But the way this happened, people are either covering up or not stating the facts as to what has happened in prior to all this happening. And that is, they're blaming Doug Cole for everything, when this, in fact, this system that was put in, the CAD system, from what I understand it is, that has to do with the HIPAA and everything else, was run by Steve Pasquarella. Now, am I wrong in saying that, Mayor?
To my knowledge, no.
He ran it. He did the specs on it. He was the one that was sent to the West Coast, along with Sue Worksman, to find out how to put this system in place. And all of a sudden, everything's being blamed on Doug Cole. When
Nothing to do with this.
he didn't know anything about it, because the only one that knew anything about it was Steve Pasquarella. And the only thing I ever hear from him is, when he's asked a question, is there's no comment, because there's a pending investigation going on. I think this whole thing that's up here about HIPAA is smoke and mirrors of you four covering your butts for what you did to Doug Cole. That's what I think. Of course, that's my opinion. But the smoke and mirrors, the mirrors are going to be broke, and a good strong wind's going to come by and blow the smoke out. I can tell you that. And that's going to happen starting on May 21st, when every resident that I can muster will be out to vote and vote you four people out of office. I guarantee you that. And the other thing that I really resent from this council, the four of you, is hiring private investigators that I know is going to cost at least $100 plus an hour. You must have on retainer Dickey, McCamey, and Chilcote, one of the most expensive law firms in the city of Pittsburgh. And if this mayor vetoes it, which he said he's going to do, guess who's going to pay that bill? It ain't going to be the taxpayers. Hope you guys got some good jobs. Because I'm going to be up here demanding that the four of you, and you, and you can pay the bill. So whatever deal you can make sure they treat you right. Don't charge you too much money. That's That's all I have to say.
Once again, would anybody like to address council, please come on up. It is certainly your time. And please state your name and address for the record as you sign in, if you would, sir, please.
Yes, I'll do that. Len Young, 656 Cooper Road, here in Monroeville. Something totally different, hope you don't mind. Can I say something about the Recreation Department?
Len, this is your time. You can say whatever you need to say.
Okay. Well, actually, I just want to put a little plug in for a class I'm going to be teaching Saturday, April 13th. It's at the Community Park West, the big park, at the gazebo. I'm going to be doing a spring planting class. It was in the brochure that the Recreation Department put out. Didn't get a whole lot of response, but of course it was scheduled for March, I don't know, some weekend in March when it was snowing, so we canceled it then. Hopefully we won't have snow on April 13th, but to the viewers out there, anybody's interested, it should be real nice. I'm bringing some plants. We're going to install a plant. Everybody's going to take one home with them. It's a $10 fee to sign up, and it's at the gazebo at the Monroeville Park, Saturday, April 13th, 9 a.m. Hope to see you there.
Sounds good, Len.
Okay.
It sounds like the weather's going to get good for you, so.
I hope so. It's nice
See the
today.
60s this week coming up,
Yeah.
so that should help you.
Thank you very much.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, come on down here, Chad. Please sign in, state your name and address for the record, if you would, sir, please.
Alrighty. Chad Steubenbort, California Avenue. Steve, you mentioned that you guys were willing to answer questions tonight, so I just have a list of questions to ask. No ridiculing or anything like that tonight.
I'm willing to answer if I can. I
Okay.
can't speak for everybody.
If we could get more involvement, that would be great. I just want to try to clear some issues up for myself and other citizens. First, the investigation by the past manager, which never came to fruition. Was it about the first incident, or was it about this evolved case?
To my knowledge, it was on the one that Bruce had said they felt there was.
The first one.
Which manager?
Silka. I know we've had a bunch in the past here, so. Second question, is there more to the story than is in the newspaper? If there is, I just want a simple yes. I don't foresee you guys talking about an active investigation, but I just want to know, is there more, or is the public in the know?
Well, I think there's more, but that's my opinion.
It's my understanding there's less. Seems like the newspaper.
There's more.
There's more? Okay. General consensus? Okay. If this is an active investigation, why did we act so fast to fire a former police chief?
Say something?
Aren't there
Hang
other...
on a second, Chad. I think Bruce wants to step in.
We're getting a message from above that, from the special counsel, that questions about this situation should be deferred tonight. I'm getting that message from him. And at least let counsel speak to him first on the HIPAA thing.
Can I ask a question why, though? It's in the paper. It was already put in a newspaper. It's been public. It's across the world.
Okay, I would just suggest to you
What
sometime.
counsel? I'm curious myself. These questions that are being asked,
SEO.
I plan on asking.
There's an attorney from Dickey McCamey here tonight. Lynette invited him.
Okay.
And I think he's
I
going
was
to...
unaware that there was an attorney here.
Well, I heard,
present.
when I got here tonight, he came in. So I would suggest that we hear from him before we go much further on,
And this attorney, you represent, he represents HIPAA
no.
or us?
I think that on your executive session, it mentions a special counsel. And I think on the agenda,
Executive session, special legal counsel.
right,
Is that an explanation?
well, I think what he's...
I mean, I'm supposed to perceive that he's here for what? Special legal counsel.
If you look at the agenda, you'll see under the manager's report, council's confirmation to proceed with the hiring of Dickey McCamey and Chilcott as special legal counsel.
Okay, yes, I've read that.
And that's, I think, concerning this HIPAA matter.
But what I've read is special legal counsel. It had no mention of who.
You see it on the regular agenda, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey,
Now-
Bruce.
Wait, Lou.
The answer's no.
Chad,
Yes.
Under the Home Rule Charter, the manager hires special counsel with the advice and consent of counsel, I believe.
that's correct.
I mean, that's what I remember seeing. So I think he wants to speak to us before you answer any more questions concerning this matter. Now, that doesn't mean you have to follow my advice. I'm just telling you, because that happens all the time. I'm just telling you, he'd like to speak to you, I believe, and he's waving at me, and I'm letting you know that.
Okay, possibly we should present him prior to, if you'd like to wait until,
I'm fine with that. I have some more questions that I'm sure a lot of citizens have.
I mean, would that be reasonable, or?
What's
would
that,
make
Steve?
sense if the attorney would speak first?
I guess we're going to go to an executive session.
Yeah, I think that's-
what we're going to do, Steve, once Citizens Night's over.
That's what I understand. I didn't
Okay.
write this.
All right, very good.
Well, how about this? I'll ask the questions if you guys feel inclined to answer. Go for it.
Why don't you do this here, Chad, if you want? I mean, this is certainly up to you, but I mean, if that's the end of do you have any other issues that you wanted to talk about?
They all pertain to that matter.
I can't imagine executive session being that long. If you want to wait till afterwards, we can do that. You can, why don't you ask your questions, just put it that way.
If I may, 1 second also. This is what I've received at home. This came the other day in our packet. Executive session personnel issues. Tonight, I'm presented with this. This is the first time I've seen it, executive session special legal counsel. Just so I can clarify that I've received two different
Correct,
special sessions.
correct. Special counsel wanted to speak to counsel this evening.
Okay. And we could have been emailed that earlier today.
I didn't think there would be a problem, Mr. Duncan.
Well, I have issues with getting things last moment. I was going through this, I didn't read this front page, so. Okay, go ahead.
Chad, take your time. This is your time. You probably won't hear from anybody, and that's okay. I mean, yeah, it's already out there, the information, so.
All right. Let's see. If this is an active investigation, why did we act so fast to fire our former police chief? Aren't there other disciplinary actions that could have taken place?
Didn't really fired, yes.
Mayor, was he fired?
He was demoted, yeah, well, demoted. He was not fired, so that's
Sorry,
correct.
I stand corrected. Demoted. Aren't there other disciplinary actions to be taken during an active investigation? Suspension with or without pay? Just a question. Did our newly appointed chief have any involvement in the CAD system? Okay. If so, did he just realize of the accused flaw in the system? And if so, how's that for detective work? For how long did our council members know about this evolved case? Is anyone willing to?
Oh, I'll say that I just found out last time we had Citizens Night in an executive session. Knew nothing about it other than that.
Okay.
I'm sorry? March meeting.
Is that accurate? Okay.
I learned a little bit at the March meeting.
Okay. And if we got mad because our last acting manager did not bring this investigation to fruition, why are we now bringing in all of these outside resources when we didn't ask or request of any of that?
But you know what, Chad, you got to remember, he was demoted with no cause, without cause, rather. So you're kind of putting
I'm just
the cart before
doing what
the
everyone
horse on
else is
this as
doing.
well, so.
Drawing conclusions.
No, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want the record to always stay straight.
Yep,
As
not a
straight as we
problem.
can make it.
It's difficult these days, but yes. So I was just wondering why we brought in these outside sources when we didn't pursue that the first time, the first incident.
I have
Alrighty.
no answer for that. Thank you.
Those are my questions.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is your time to address council. Please state your name and address for the record as you sign in, please.
Linda Gatos, 178 Westminster. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I'm kind of confused here. Have we hired an attorney already? Did nothing can be spoken about? Do we hire a private investigator already? We can't talk about it. This gentleman that's sitting here, is he being paid for sitting here right now on our dime? Can someone answer me that?
Mr. Dice recommended that we hire special legal counsel, per my request.
Okay.
I pulled counsel and explained to them that we needed to hire special legal counsel, and if any of them had a concern, to contact me. I got no contact information back from the email.
Okay, well, Mr. Duncan seemed to have said that he
Mr.
didn't
Duncan is
have
well
any-
aware of the email that was received.
I was aware of the email, and I asked for, I'd like more information, but then I read about it.
Tonight, we're going to get more information.
Then I read about it in the paper that
Okay,
same
so
day.
this gentleman's not been hired as of right now? Am I understanding that correctly, or he's?
He's
You haven't voted on
basically,
this
yes,
yet?
hired for the municipality, and I need the confirmation of counsel.
Okay, so till you get confirmation, he's still not hired yet?
Correct.
Yes? Okay.
Correct.
That's what I wanted to understand. Are we paying for him right now, then?
Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll open up the floor to you. This is certainly your time to address council. Seeing none, we're going to close the Citizens Night portion of the session, and we're going to move over to an executive session, so I need a motion to go to an executive session.
So moved.
Is there a for special legal counsel, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we will not be long, and stick around if you can. Now we're back in session, and I'd like to entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty, and right now, ladies and gentlemen, all members of council are here. We're going to start into our work session, if you will. And do we have any questions on our minutes of Citizens Night meeting of February 7th, 2013, and our council meeting of February 12th, 2013? Any questions, corrections? Seeing none, we'll move over to our reports of our tax collections.
If I could just make a note, Mayor.
Sure.
The information is no longer going to be on your agenda. If you flip into the agenda packet right after the signature page of the agenda, that's what you're going to see now, which is a representation of all the taxes collected in the tax department. So I just wanted to bring that to light, so everyone knows that.
Okay.
So that'll be every month now.
Every month, yes.
Yeah, once again, council, any corrections or comment on our tax collections? Seeing none, we'll move over to our payroll report. Again, any issues with our payroll report? Moving over to the list of bills, Bern, we'll start off with you. Any issues?
No questions at this time.
Nick?
No questions this evening.
Lois?
Mayor, I think I only have a couple, mostly just informational on let's see whether this is list of bills, page 1, Allegheny League of Municipalities. There's $410. Would there be registrants already for that?
Yes, Mayor Arcinko is attending the Seven Springs Conference. And
Just the
that-
mayor?
Yes.
Okay. May I make a request that this time we actually get a little synopsis of what would
I can certainly do that for you.
be great. All right. And then there's just one more on, I think that was it. I did have I don't think I have my notes for budget transfers, but I think I was asking a question about the,
Well, I didn't quite put out there yet for budget transfers. I just
Oh,
was
okay.
doing the list of bills
Not a problem.
first. JJ?
No, sir, I don't have any.
Okay. Diane?
Yeah, I have two. Page 5, City Lighting Products of Pittsburgh in the amount of $5,485.20.
That is actually the lighting for the Public Works garage and the upstairs storage area at Public Works. There's actually a rebate that Duquesne Light is offering, and that lighting was changed by Don LaGorga, and we look to get about half to $3,000 of that back in a refund.
Oh, great. The other one I have is on page 17, Hunter Truck Sales and Service. There's two line items for, it looks like for the same repair of the same truck. They total $9,024.41. There's no code here of what department it's under for what truck and what.
Okay,
this is
it's
for.
truck number 50, which is Public Works. There's two issues with the truck. It's a 2008 truck.
2008, what kind of truck?
It's one of the big
Refuse.
It was transmission issue and a cooler issue. So the lower amount, the $2,984, is the cooler replacement, and the $6,040 is the transmission replacement, and both of those were done in-house. Actually, if we would have sent it out, it would have been about $22,000.
That's all the questions I have, thank you. Greg, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Steve?
I have none.
Clarence? Nothing. And we'll move over to our budget transfers. Clarence, we'll start off with you. Any issues?
No.
Steve?
No, sir.
Diane?
No.
JJ?
Nothing, sir.
Lois, you did have one issue.
Yeah, just the only one that's on there, actually, just an explanation. I think that I tied a question in as to whether or not any of that was,
It's actually for the Convention Visitors Bureau.
Oh, it
It's
is?
not anything to do with the...
I saw 2206, I couldn't tell what that was. That's CBB, huh?
Yeah.
And, okay,
That's it?
that's it.
Nick?
Nothing this evening, sir.
Vern?
Nothing this evening.
Very good. And we'll move over to our proposals, and Lynette, if you would.
Yes, sealed bids were received on Tuesday, April 2nd in the manager's office. They were publicly opened at 10 a.m. If you look in your agenda packet, when the agenda was copied, the machine wasn't set on a high enough definition, so I've given council a packet that makes it a little bit darker. The higher area, or the highlighted area, is actually what Public Works is recommending be awarded the bids. Everyone had more than one bidder other than 2 items. If you flip to the back of your packet, reinforced concrete manholes and crushed stone only received 1 bid, and this has been historical throughout the last several years of our bidding process. So we went ahead and opened those bids, and they are pretty consistent with all the local pricing and what the pricing was last year. And then the last one, baseball infield mix, we had no bids at all. So we will go back out for bidding on that.
Bottom line is, Lynette, all the bids are the appropriate responsible lowest bidder, or
Correct.
doesn't have to be the lowest bidder, but the most responsible.
Correct.
Well, you see a lot of repeat names here, too, from last year.
Yes.
Yes, actually from the last several years.
Questions or comments on this item before you? Seeing none, we'll move over to resolutions. If you would, Lynette, please.
Yes, the first resolution, Mayor, is a resolution approving the proposed agreement with the Convention Visitors Bureau of Greater Monroeville concerning a service and maintenance agreement for vehicles. This is actually something that we've done for years, but we never had an agreement with. The Director, Sean Logan, and I discussed this, as well as I believe at the CVB meeting it was discussed. This actually outlines and defines the agreement between the municipality and the CVB, and actually talks about the cost that the CVB will now reimburse the municipality, as well as one of the other highlights is that they will waive, the CEO can actually waive the fees for the municipality to use the vehicle if so necessary. Those would be the 2 highlight items.
Questions or comments on this item before you, council? Seeing none, Lynette, please.
The second resolution is a resolution approving the proposed agreement with Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments concerning the salt brine. Back in 2010, we began to make brine at the Public Works Garage, and an agreement was made with the Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments through Manager Little at that time, that we in turn sell the brine to other communities. However, there was no agreement that was ever put in place to go through the procedure of how the payments would be received and collected. So this actually defines that. It's more of a housekeeping item that was never done back from 2011.
Questions or comments, council? Seeing none, Lynette, please.
The third resolution is a resolution changing the private road name of Rhine Way to Reservoir Road. This, if you recall, last spring, we renamed all the streets that didn't have names, or the Chambers landfill or Waste Management landfill actually chose Rhine Way, and now they're asking that it be changed to Reservoir Road. So we're accommodating them.
Was that because of a conflict, or?
Actually, I believe there was a gentleman that worked there called Rhine, Mr. Rind, and they don't want it to be an employee's name, so.
Any other questions or comments, council? Thank you, Lynette. Mr. Dice.
Okay, the first ordinance is an ordinance amending ordinance number 2479, specific section to change the time of garbage, refuse, and debris that can be placed at the curb service for collection, sponsored by Mr. Hurd.
Questions or comments on this item before you, council?
Yeah, just so everybody is aware, the reason that what prompted this was I've received a number of calls from elderly people over the last couple of years, and the question comes, especially during the winter, the current resolution, or the current ordinance requires that refuse is placed to the curb at 6 o'clock in the evening. While we know that many people don't necessarily adhere to that, the bottom line is that that is the requirement. And so they've asked that if we could find an earlier time. I came back to Ms. McKinney and asked her to meet with Public Works and come up with an appropriate time. She in turn talked to at least one of those residents, and the time that they agreed to was 4 o'clock, which would provide daytime year-round, which was really the concern. was that they didn't want to be going to the curb during the night, especially on some of our busier roads. So,
Thank you, Brian. Questions or comments? Mr. Dice.
Yes, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 1520 and 2040, which established a process for competitive bidding and purchase orders in the municipality. This is really to bring us up into what the law is now.
Questions or comments, council? Mr. Dice.
Next is an ordinance, again, that was sponsored by Ms. McKinney, an ordinance amending 2421, 2447, 2286, and resolution number 0266 and 0608, and this was done with both myself, Lynette, and Susan, providing for the annual required contribution in the non-trust account in the sum of $121,000 to become unrestricted in the general non-trust account. This is to bring us, I think this is a budgetary matter that we had moved some money budgetarily, and now this really cleans up the ordinances that needed to be changed so that that can happen.
Questions or comments, council?
Yes, Mayor, I just want to be clear on this because of, the irrevocable trust nature of what should be in OPEB. So,
These funds are not part of the irrevocable trust. They are the residual balance that was left in the general fund account, which was reserved for OPEB purposes prior to the irrevocable trust being created.
then that way it's legal, okay?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, next, number 4, is an ordinance amending ordinance number 848, regulating parking on Hazel Drive. And this is sponsored by Lois.
Yes. This actually follows on the order of last month where we actually had the same issue where we wanted to extend no parking. And of course, this one was followed up through building engineering and the compliance officer. So it's going to be helpful to Hazel Drive to have no parking all the way down.
Questions or comments, council? Seeing none, Mr. Dice.
An ordinance to provide for an amendment of the 2011-2013 capital improvements budget.
Questions or comments, council?
And the last ordinance is an ordinance to provide for the amendment of the 2013 general fund budget.
Questions or comments, council? Thank you, Mr. Dice. Move over to reports of our officials, and Lynette, you have the big report, so we'll start off with you.
Actually, the first item is council's confirmation to proceed with the hiring of Dickie McCabe and Chilcott, PC, as special legal counsel for the HIPAA situation in the municipality of Monroeville. I'm asking for council to give me a direction on that this evening.
I am in support of that.
And how did we find that firm? Or how did we decide on that firm?
Website. I actually went to the website. and just
Website?
Started typing in, yep.
It was a Google search?
Yep. Actually, Bruce and I started Googling in the office the day of our meeting.
Okay, and we have, obviously, Mr. Dice is on staff here, and we have other attorneys that we deal with in the municipality. Zoning Hearing Board has an attorney, Civil Service Commission, Finance Authority. There's several that, did we, by chance, maybe consult with any of them as far as getting ideas, as far as recommendations?
Actually, I was looking for someone who specialized in the HIPAA laws. And Dickie McCabe does specialize in that.
Okay,
It's
based
one
on
of their
Google.
specialties. You actually can type in HIPAA attorneys, and it brings you up a whole list of people.
Understood.
Do we have an emergency fund? Where are we going to find the funding? That's my,
We have special legal funding that actually appears in our budget.
what is that at? That's in the budget.
You're looking for consensus?
So that's where the funding will come from? This special legal funding?
That's correct.
And there's enough that you feel there to cover that?
If there's not, we'll have to transfer funds.
Again, the council, the manager's looking for direction. I've heard from two. Is everybody comfortable with proceeding on?
I would think we need to, based on what we heard in the executive session.
I think you have your direction. Lynette, if you would, please.
I can save everything else, Mayor, for Tuesday.
Okay.
Well, actually, I do have one other thing.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring to council's attention the map, the municipal map was done in 2008. I contacted the company because it's so outdated, and they're actually coming in to redo the map. So I just wanted to get council's consensus to move forward on that. So just if you want to look at that over the next couple days, there's no cost to the municipality at all. Everything, all the ads would be sold by the company, all the updates would be done by them. It's actually a piece of material that our residents use on a regular basis. So I think it's wise that we go ahead after 5 years and update that information.
That's a pretty thorough map, too, on the other side.
is.
I continue to use that one. It has
All
all
our-
boundaries of wards and pretty extensive.
All of our new streets will be added that we named last spring, so.
Okay. Mr. Dice, if you would, please.
Yes, the mayor asked me to make a few comments concerning the executive session and what we learned, and I'm going to keep it very generic, but I think, the residents have asked certain poignant questions, and I think we heard special counsel indicate that at some appropriate time, every question and every fact and every circumstance will be unveiled and certainly be made available to the public. Right now, Monroeville's at a stage where they are gathering information, and they are going to continue to do that in accordance with the requisite federal agencies. And until that's done, it's not prudent, at least this is what I heard, and I certainly agree, it's not prudent to comment on the facts and circumstances. Let the investigation as it unfold in its natural course. And we will be certainly apprising the public at an appropriate time to answer any questions that come up.
Thank you, Mr. Dice. Anything else for us?
That's all.
Clarence, we'll start off with your report. Steve.
I just have one thing, actually a couple questions, but on the tax collector, I hear that there was savings when we eliminated his position last month. And now I see that we're going to give a $20,000 severance package to him, is that correct?
It's part of his contract.
So, just to recap, Mr. Little, $71,000, Mr. Silka, $67,600, Mr. Fulkerson, $20,000. So in 1 year, $158,600 in severance packages. And we're finding savings here? Two questions on the tax. Who's collecting right now the 511 tax?
Nothing has changed.
So
Absolutely
you're
nothing
collecting?
has changed. The staff is exactly identical to what it was.
Excuse me, Bill, I need one of your cards.
So I guess you'd be collecting it, is that correct?
Nothing has changed, Steve.
Okay, and so no one's being compensated to collect it or anything?
No, sir.
That's all I have, those few questions.
Diane, if you would, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure if many people realize, I haven't heard anything today mentioned today, but today is April 4th, and exactly 4 years ago today, 3 Pittsburgh police officers were killed in the line of duty. So I would like at this moment to please take a moment to remember Officers Kelly, Maley, and Shullo, who sacrificed their lives, gave the ultimate sacrifice with their lives exactly 4 years ago today. So if you don't mind, if we can have a moment of silence for these 3 Pittsburgh police officers. Thank you. Also, this weekend at the Monroeville Convention Center is Comic-Con, and I saw today they will have, I think it's Sophia from The Walking Dead for all the Walking Dead fanatics. I'm not familiar with it, however, it's always on every Sunday at my house, and that's when it's the quietest time in my my house. But Comic-Con is there, and there'll be other live people showing up with regards to, I think the one on the other side, they had Batman last year, I know Batman's not coming this year. But they will actually have other action figure people coming in to do that. And also, we are starting our first safety, we're going to do another safety day, an annual safety day with Forbes and Highmark. We have the first of our meetings coming up, so if anyone has any ideas how to improve it or suggestions for it, please let the manager or myself know so we can provide these to the committee. Thank you.
JJ. Yeah, I can't talk much. I'd just like to real quickly thank Mr. Hugus for getting a hold of PennDOT State. Northern Pike Hill at the other end of Monroeville is a real shambles. For you, the folks that travel, that's the gateway to Monroeville. It really is, minus 20. A lot of people use that, and it looks like Skid Row. Not to mention the gas leaks that they keep fixing and never get it fixed. Thanks to him, I think they're going to finally address it and get something done with it. That's all I have at the minute.
Lois.
Yes, Mayor. I have a few things here. One thing I wanted to announce that the residents of Shangri-La had received notice from Duquesne Light Company. And this is the infrastructure upgrade. Some similar things happened in Glenwood, I think it was last year. I may be forgetting the time. But Duquesne Light Company is commencing an infrastructure upgrade project in the Shangri-La neighborhood. There was a meeting that they were announcing the meeting. I believe one person showed up for that particular neighborhood. So I think that, like Mr. Story said, he's considered the mayor of the neighborhood on this information. But the project includes replacing all underground wiring, transformers, and switches. New wiring will be pulled through the existing conduit, and therefore digging will generally be limited. And transformers and switches that were formerly located in underground vaults will be replaced with the surface-mounted equipment as is current practice in the industry. So this is, again, just upgrade. The specific streets that are affected are Shangri-La Drive, Hidden Valley Drive, Pagoda Drive, and Himalaya Drive. The website was given to residents, and if anybody needs to be reminded of that, I'll contain that information. But I just wanted to let that announcement go out there. Also, during this last Monday's Sustainable Monroeville meeting at the library, I was able to hear about the charter school, the Spectrum Charter School, who is donating 10 seedlings. I don't see Len Young here any longer, our arborist, but these are 10 trees that will be donated, and I do have contact information. Michelle Johnson, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Spectrum Charter School. I do have her number, and if you'd like to know more about this, they will be, or should be, arriving here around the 18th of this month, and these are seedlings that should be pretty much planted right away. She will be giving them out to the interested people who contact her, and so if you would like to be one of those people, please contact me. That's that, and speaking of things outdoors, the garden, the food garden behind the Monroeville Library will have its third year that we will be making plans for the planting, testing the soil, of course, planting. But before we do the planting, hopefully we will have a much better structure around it in the way of a fencing. The garden also will be able to be extended a little bit on behalf of one of the young gentlemen who contacted me. His name is Jake Cothran. He's part of the same scout troop that Mr. Erb's son is in. And he had raised his own money and had the similar goals to do sustainable type of gardening and to do good things with the produce. As you know, we do good things with our produce. We've raised about 1,000 pounds that is organic produce, and we distribute this to the 4 food pantries that are in the area. So we'll be able to make that garden a little bit more extended this year. I want to thank Manager McKinney and also in particular Christy Fusco, who really, gave the okay, because it is behind the public library and that land is very much part of that library. So garden will be a little bit bigger this year. And finally, I wanted to just announce a couple of things. I will get into more of the announcements again on Tuesday for the senior center. But this Saturday, the 6th, we do have a bingo. Bingo is at 1 p.m., and there's a hot lunch that is served for a very nominal fee at 12 noon before bingo at 1 p.m. That's this Saturday at the senior center. Some things that are coming up in this month at the senior center to be announced, I'll get into that Tuesday, is the monthly luncheon, of course, and the Spaghetti Festival, which is going to be on the 30th of April. And there are deadlines for buying tickets. These things are very, very affordable. I think the Spaghetti Festivals might be $5. But anyway, I'll give you more of the deadlines and announcements again on that on Tuesday. And that's all I have.
Nick?
I just wanted to make a comment about the Recreation and Parks Department. They had their annual Easter egg hunt 2 weekends ago, and it was a great success. Just wanted to tip of the hat to Joanne, Paul, and Karen down in the Rec Department, as well as many of the municipal employees that were involved, and certainly a lot of volunteers that helped out. It was a great event for the kids. Weather was nice. It was great. Upcoming is Jack Sedlak Cleanup Day. That's April 20th. You can still register. You can register until April 8th is the deadline in the Recreation Department. At the same time, same day, will be Shred It Day, which will occur at the community park near the baseball fields and tennis courts. So bring all your documents that you need to shred. Also, eLoop is sponsoring an electronics recycling, which is going hand in hand with all of this. Same thing at the community park, however, it'll be at the soccer fields. And there's been changes with what we can put in the landfill, so a lot of electronic devices can no longer go to the curb. Monitors, TVs, even smaller things, toasters, blenders. So there's a lot of regulations now. So eLoop is offering a free recycling service there that day. So that is April 20th. Once again, you can register April 8th for actual cleanup. Shred It Day, eLoop is just a show-up type of situation. And the Pitcairn Monroeville Sportsman's Club had their cleanup day of the stream down at the bottom of Saunders Station Road. Now they're preparing for the PA Fish Commission to come out. So this is Tuesday, April 9th at 12. They're bringing about 3,000 fish, and they need a lot of help to get them into the stream. So if you're available Tuesday, April 9th, you can meet at the bottom of Saunders Station Road. That's at noon, and they'll be having a second stocking Tuesday, April 23rd. I believe there might be some advertisement of this on our website. Certainly, anybody have any questions, you can contact me, or you can contact Dave McMaster. His phone number is 412-576-6462. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, sir. Brian?
First, I'd like to, again, thank everybody for participating, whether you're here or whether you're doing it on TV. The library wanted to mention that summer's coming, they've got reading programs for all ages, so please take advantage of that. They also have this September, of course, coming up, Book Blast. They're in big plans for doing that, and they are planning for the 50th anniversary. Those preparations are going on right now because next year is the 50th anniversary of the Monroeville Library. Finally, some more things we have if you've not had your fill of Friday fish dinners, through April 26th, St. Nicholas will be offering Friday fish dinners, and on April 5th, tomorrow, there's going to be an Italian buffet at Crossroads Presbyterian Church. And that's it.
And obviously, I have a very short report. Just please just come on down and sign up for our Sedlak Cleanup Day. That is April 20th. That'll basically 9 to 11. We'll be meeting at the community park. We'll have some hot dogs and some drinks and stuff. So please, that's a very worthy cause. Hope to see all you out of there. And don't forget, tune in, or please, even better, come on in next Tuesday. That is our regular business meeting. And we appreciate you all coming out. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Oh, no, we have an executive session. I'm sorry. Motion to go to an executive session. I didn't look at my paper.
Motion to recess.
For personnel reasons.
Motion to recess.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.